I was a freelancer for many years. You know what freelancers do?
We deal with things beyond the wall. Problems. We help people.
Nearly 2 years after being announced, and a few weeks after a fairly well-received beta, the full version of Anthem is finally hitting PCs this week, exclusively on EA's Origin gaming platform. New players have been flooding the servers since release, and there's still a lot to learn about the optimal way to play the game. Anthem itself is fairly open-ended and doesn't explain everything as well as it could in the tutorial, so I thought I'd compile a list of some helpful tips I've discovered in my playing the game so far. If you have a few additional helpful things you've found already, feel free to post them below. Also, this is my first YouTube video, so be sure to leave a comment and let me know how to make your experience better for next time. With all that being said, let's jump right into it. First up, let's talk weapons. When I first started playing, I was sticking to my usual FPS go-to in the form of an assault rifle, but quickly learned that it was pretty weak, at least for my javelin, the Storm, who can move in and out of combat very quickly and engage from short or long range. Because of this, I would definitely advise using a shotgun sniper combo. Shotguns are some of the best weapons in the early game, and with a javelin like Storm, freezing people in place while shotgunning them down is too satisfying to miss out on. Next, I would recommend getting used to your Q and E abilities as soon as possible, because they can actually have a huge impact on your team fights. In this clip, I'm able to freeze entire waves of enemies as they spawn, letting my team come in with me and clean them up pretty quickly. You can see the damage of the shotgun on display here again, making super quick work of this supposed early game boss. In the same vein, I would recommend learning when to use your ultimate ability. Here I ended up using it a little too early and I couldn't find many enemies to kill as a result. Save it for some of the bigger fights, since they don't come nearly as often as the nearly instant regen of your Q and E abilities. From a pretty early point in the game, you'll start occasionally running into Scar Enforcers, which can spawn in any of the regular fights you'll run into while out doing missions. They are a prime example of how often teamwork will come into play with others while you're going through the Anthem storyline. While your Colossus Javelin, the tank of the group, can distract the Enforcer, have everyone else focus their shots on his back, where you can light gas canisters on fire by shooting them, allowing you to kill him pretty quickly and easily while still taking very limited damage. Moving away from the combat direction of things, let's talk about Javelin movement. The jetpacks and flying in Anthem are certainly one of its highlights, but unfortunately you can only stay in the air so long before overheating and plummeting to the ground. Thankfully, a quick dive in the water, which you can find almost anywhere, will completely reset your heat timer, which is represented by the blue bar underneath your flying javelin. Collecting resources around the map, such as this one I'm gathering here, will provide you with chimeric alloy and chimeric compounds, which play a part in almost every single item you can craft in Anthem. In the endgame, nearly everything revolves around crafting to try and get the best weapons and armor, so you'll want to gather as many resources as possible while you can. What makes things easier is that as long as you're near a teammate when they gather the item, you'll both receive the same crafting supplies you would if you did it personally, so there's no rushing to be the first one to the rock or plant like you see in a lot of other games. Shortly after landing your javelin in Fort Tarsus for the first time in game after the tutorial, you'll be led down a set of stairs where you'll find these 3 hourglasses representing your currently available daily, weekly, and monthly tasks. You should pick these up as often as possible because they provide you with some really easy side quests that can net you some pretty great rewards if you complete them on time. Like I said earlier, crafting in the endgame is super important, and like in a lot of other loot-style MMOs these days, you'll have a chance to salvage your items you've received at the end of every mission, or at any time on Fort Tarsus when at the vault. Last, but definitely not least, I would like to give you a few tips on matchmaking. First, I would definitely recommend keeping your privacy settings to public. This is the only way you'll be able to be randomly placed on missions with other players, which is definitely the way the game is meant to be played. Also on the mission screen, you'll be able to invite your friends to your party if they're online as well. The last thing you'll find on the mission control screen is the difficulty selector. Personally, I always play on hard mode and don't find it to be too much more challenging than normal mode, but the extra rewards are definitely worth it. So, like I said, I would definitely recommend playing on hard mode. That's all for my tips and tricks for this video. Like I said before, feel free to leave a comment below if you have any additional ideas, and thanks so much for watching.